Going on out there, YouTubers? My name's Jeffrey Joslin, and this is a kind of behind the scenes production video on my new song, Soul Serenade. I thought I'd take you through the Logic session, show you some things that I used and some mix tricks and just kind of what's going on in the track. And yeah, so let's get into it. All right. So the main foundation of the track, it started with this. There's these guys that make samples. What are they called? Can't think of it at the moment. Anyways, they make drum samples, and when you buy a drum sample pack, it's these really vibey drums, and they're cut to tape, and there's really cool saturated sound, but they also include a bunch of other samples and stuff in there. So like melodic things, vocal things, keyboard things. So I came across this one. And immediately I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just kind of heard this groove and this, harmonic movement with the changes. And so the first thing I did was grab these drums right here and find the tempo, some tempo and groove that I liked. And then, so that got me going here. Which is money in the bank as far as I'm concerned. I tend to look for drums that, a lot of times I'll record drums, but it's really hard to get, I find, really hard to get really great drum sounds. A lot of times you got to put like tape on the drums or, different things, or run like actual tape, like actual masking tape or these types of things, or a towel or a wallet or these types of things. But sometimes I just like to use drums that are already recorded really nicely. They got tape saturation. So that's where I started. And then from there, I started adding the guitar part. So the next thing was this here. So that's like the verse section, and that's like I think it's in E or E flat, and I'm just walking up from the E major chord, or kind of an E5 chord without the third, and then there's a sharp 5, and then the sharp 5 moves up to the flat 6, so that that's that movement there. And then I started off doing the bass in a way that I started off playing with the kick. A lot of times the bass will double the kick, right? So you have that, boom, bump, bump. But I wanted to groove it a little more, and so this is something I do sometimes if I really wanted to kind of get you like really moving, is I play the bass on the offbeats, so on the ands, so you'll hear the bass here. So that's kind of this kind of push and pull thing going on. And then one instrument I love is like a Moog synth. I love this kind of lead simple lead with a what you call it, like a drift or legato setting glide, where it's like it'll kind of up to the next note instead of each note being so tight and individual. Has a glide setting, and then like it's on mono or legato, so it kind of flows together in this kind of, I don't know, interesting, cool way that I like. So that's the Moog. And the Moog, or Moog, I don't know how you say it, but it became the foundation of my chorus melody that I just kind of started playing this thing before I knew what the melody would be. So a lot of times there's a lot of ways to make tracks, you know. Sometimes you have a song, you build the track around the song. Sometimes you have a track, build the song around the track, which two different creative ways of doing things. I find I arrive at songs differently depending on which method I take. Sometimes it's harder to find a concept once you have a track because it's kind of there. But anyways, that's how I got to this. So here's the Moog, however you say it, synth line. Okay, so that's my intro, and then after I had done the whole thing, I went back and added this acoustic track just to give it a certain flavor. I typically, when I play shows, I play acoustic, so I just thought it might be nice to add an acoustic guitar. The acoustic is playing down a little lower. So that's got the intro going there, and then one of the things I love most about producing and playing is bass. I love playing bass. I have a Fender P bass that has flat wounds on it, and they're pretty old strings, so they're kind of real dull and plucky sounding. And then I kind of have a preset that I use. This is a Slate. The Slate plugins, which I've used for a long time, I love, and I have this kind of bass preset, which basically, this is a virtual channel strip that gives you basically like hitting the guts of a console. Takes digital sounds and makes them more analog. Sounds like we got some children's footsteps upstairs. My children. And then you have like a Neve style EQ, where I have boost top end, boost in the mid range, and then rolling off the bottom. I love the CLA, I love the LA2A on bass. It just gives it a punch and a nice saturation. And then this is like an overdrive plug-in. Just gives it some warmth and some saturation, some distortion. See what the bass sounds like. You can see my bass preset, JJ bass, money. Let's see here. Man, sounds like a zoo upstairs. So that's with it on, that's with it off. Big difference. I tend to like James Jamerson style bass lines, Paul McCartney, plucky, punchy, mid-rangey type of bass lines. That's a P bass sound. And then let's see. So we get in the first. There's like a pre-chorus. That's where we get the first change in the chord structure.
Turning over tables to find a say.
I'll show you my vocal thing here. So I'm going through I've had different mic configurations and a bunch of different mics over the years, but because of some other mics that I usually use, not functioning at the moment, I'm using this Rode NTK, which is a great mic for a really good price, and I've switched out the tube to maybe a Mullard tube or something, and then I'm not sure if you can see over here, I'm going through a Golden Age, like a Neves 1073 into this. It's called the Brute limiter. I'm not sure. We picked it up at Vintage King Web. I think it's like a LA2A style compressor, but that's what my vocal chain is going through. And then I have this is kind of typical vocal chain for me, SSL style, rolling off the bottom up to about 82 hertz, rolling off the low frequency, like a shelf, I think, 240, adding a little bit of it back body with a pretty tight Q, and then dipping out 5K. I typically have a really like harsh kind of cutting upper mid range that I usually have to tame. Sometimes I'll put I don't have the Soothe plug-in, but something like that where it's like dipping. Sometimes I use the SSL one that has it's like a Dynacomp. It's like just compressing certain frequencies. But I always use this LA2A on vocals, and then I come in on the back end. This is more of a warm overall compressor, hitting it pretty hard.
Deaf ears, blind eyes, and blank staring face.
Not that hard, maybe 3 to 5 dB. I don't know if that's what that means, 3 to 5. But and then coming again, so I got the compressor on the front end, I got this compressor, and then another. This is like a 1176 style compressor.
Not sure if anyone's listening anyways.
So you can tell one's doing more than the other one's picking up where the other left off. And then this one also adds more of an aggressive thing. Now we got piano playing upstairs. And then this is a de-esser. Yeah, so that's kind of my vocal chain, and then I'm going over here to a great plug-in by Slate. It's that like what do you call it? The Space Echo. I love this thing. And that's all for that vocal chain. And then I think I'm going to a vocal bus. Everything going to a final vocal bus. Oh yeah, and then here you go. So here's the
I'm always held on to possible. Holding.
You can see this area is what I was talking about. This like 4K ducking, because my voice just has a really harsh. And then adding some of it back. This is a great plug-in for some upper mids and then some really top breathy stuff. All this is Slate stuff. And then let's see what else I'm doing. Just cleaning up the low end, and then just a limiter just to, smooth everything out and keep the vocals nice and up top. So all the vocals, backgrounds, and everything are running through that. So right about that time comes my electric and then some keys.
I'm always held on to.
That's like a Fender Rhodes, I believe, or Wurlitzer, kind of more of a Rhodes with a phasey thing. I think all of these, like my Moog synth and my keys, most of them, I think I just used the Nord, just going direct. It's nice just to get sounds direct sometimes as opposed to using plugins or whatever. So that's my keys. So you can hear, you know, when we get into this spot, we have.
I'm always held on.
And then the acoustic with that, you know. It's a fun little change there. It's like so going to the 4 major 7 and then going like a minor 2-5-1. Minor 2-5-1 usually has a flat 5 in it, and then maybe a flat 9 on the 5 chord. And then yeah, we're heading into the chorus. I have a background here. Let's see.
Holding out for whimsical, wonderful.
Yeah, so there's a. I'm just kind of doubling it. Octave should be the same settings. Sometimes I'll do different settings on the backgrounds, but yeah, same settings.
My grip is slipping, I'm losing control. Oh, where else can I go? Won't you send me a soul serenade?
So then, here comes that, you know, that vocal thing again. It's really nice. Got a nice reverb tail on it, and then I bring in my background doubles.
Serenade, serenade.
And then we have, let's see, what am I doing over here? Pulling out some low mids, adding some top. I don't know why I use that overall. Maybe because, let's see. Yeah, because I must have just copied that setting to my other backgrounds. The one thing production-wise I like to do is kind of a progression. You know, like each 4 to 8 bars, something new is introduced. I remember hearing, I think, Timbaland talk about that in one of his production things and mix with the masters or something like that. So it's kind of like the listener has something new and the song develops, so things don't stay the same. So you'll see I kind of add, oops, sorry camera, I kind of add some new elements each new section. So now we get into the second verse here.
Monster is chasing me.
Oh, here's the other thing. So when we get to the chorus, so when you get these drums, they come with a dry one and a wet one. So the wet one has a verb. So when you get to the chorus, a lot of times a good production technique is like reverb out your drums. So where the verse is dry, you reverb maybe your snare. On the chorus, everything expands. So you get this expanding chorus thing. So you hear the reverb there. Yeah, so that's happening on that pre-chorus and then into the chorus.
Monster is chasing me.
So yeah, so here we go. So you'll see I start adding these keys into the second verse, which kind of with a little different movement, not the hop thing, but this kind of ba-da, ba-da, doubling the guitar movement. And then we're back with the little eighth notes there. And then up here, another new addition. It comes some background vocals with some harmonies.
Looking for flowers and dried up desert plains. I know there's light through a tunnel somewhere. grasping in darkness to make sure you're still there. Watching and waiting to see where the wind will blow. When I can flow, sure could go for a soul serenade. Serenade.
Okay, and then this chorus, there's new things. I add a harmony part to the vocal stack.
Serenade. Serenade.
So that's happening, and then I'm also adding a synth line, but I have, let's see. It's kind of an organ more than a synth, but it's like a Vox Continental organ kind of thing. But what I have is this great plug-in. There's different plugins you can get that do this, but this is one that Slate makes. But basically, it kind of with the rhythm, and so it gives you the same thing that the bass is doing. Bump. But it gives you the and, so you have the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. So I just kind of do that to create like a hop, a groove. And then here, a great way to, like if you have a mono signal, that rather than double it, I just use this sample delay to split it. And you just anything past like 20 or 30 milliseconds, the ear hears as separate signals, so you can hear that I've split it out. Right, there's the mono. So that just gives it like width on the chorus. And then I also have now the piano coming in with the top thing. I also have these claps, which come in every other one, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, like I said, I try and add new things each section. This is a pretty sparse track overall. I didn't use a ton of stuff. And then when we get to the bridge, kind of breaks down.
All of the silence.
And I have this reverse crash.
Of the silence.
And then I found this piano thing.
Won't you send me a sentimental soul serenade when all of the past goes up in flames? A spectacular spectacle of soul serenade.
All right, so the last chorus, I have the claps going. You see here, I have the claps going doubly as frequent as they were before. And then when we get to the end, doubling that frequency again. So rather than every other one, I'm going kind of every bar. And then I'm also adding another harmony in the vocals.
Serenade, soul serenade, serenade, soul serenade, serenade.
Then I have some ad libs, the main vocal doing ad libs, and then when I come in with this, I have like a reverb ramp, let's see. See there when I do this.
Soul Serenade. Soul Serenade.
So you can see where I've automated a reverb to go up as I do that little part. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll show you. Looks like I have some other reverb things. What are these? I have a plate. This is like a Bricasti model by Slate. Some sort of a plate that I'm using. Maybe on backgrounds? Yes. Backgrounds. And then what I have on my mix bus is this virtual tape machine. This just kind of gives it some vibe, warms it up. It's different effects, different types of tape, different type of tape machines. They have different sonic characteristics depending on what you're looking for. And then this is like a SSL compressor, bus compressor, pretty famous bus compressor. Let's see, really slow attack, fast release. Get about 4 dB of gain, ratio at 4. And I'm rolling off up to 185. So that means the low end is not getting compressed by this up to 185. Because sometimes if you use the compressor on everything, the low end is hitting the crap out of it, and it's not, the other stuff's not able to even out. So that's a nice way to even things out. And then it's the Fusion stereo imager. Just widen things up a little bit. And then a limiter, which is not doing much. You see the reduction over here is not much, just to keep it from clipping and evening out a little bit, but I don't usually do a ton before mastering. I like to leave some room for the mastering. Let's see, anything else I missed? I mean, these reverbs typically do a EQ, so I'm cutting out most of the bottom end and the top just to clean that up. And then my guitar, the guitar thing was just really nice. It just worked out. It's just a Logic thing. Just happened to find a stock thing that worked. Going into a delay, some sort of a Fender Tweed thing. And then, same sample delay thing over here. 31 milliseconds. Just split it out wide. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments. But thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. And please go check out my song Soul Serenade. See you next time.